Hello everyone, this is Helen H. and welcome to my channel, Moss Cottage. I hope you all are doing well today. I hope the lighting's okay. I'm filming in the morning, which is something I usually don't do, so I hope that's okay. But today I wanted to do some, just to show you how I make my little fairies for my fairy journal, how I make these little guys here. Birdie from Birdie the Recycled Hippie Chick, she wanted to see how I made them, and so I will do that. I will show you that. But first, oh, and also I want to show you some other sources that I've used to get fairies to put in my fairy journal. I'm not actually going to work in the journal today. I'm just going to kind of show you some ideas about where you can get sources for the journal. So first of all though, Annette, I got this yesterday. I do not know when you mailed my little happy mail to me. I can't read the postage date here, and the envelope said that it was damaged during postage, and really the only damage that I saw was this little tear here, and it was a little bit torn up here, but nothing was damaged inside. And I want to thank you so much. Like I said, I just got this yesterday. Thank you so much for this wonderful happy mail. Look at this beautiful arrangement she collaged on the envelope, and then she's got this cute washi tape here. Of course, I'm going to try to get all this off and use it in my one of my journals. And then she sent me this cute little card with a very nice message inside. But she sent me an ATC that she made, and it says, "Hello, friend." Look at that. Isn't that cute? I love these little scribble birds or sketchy birds. I love them. So thank you so much for that. And then she made this adorable little notebook for me, and the front is a part of, she must have made this from a piece of an envelope that she covered with scrapbook paper, because this is the front of an envelope right here, a business envelope. She's got beautiful washi tapes here, and she has is that an actual pressed, is that a sticker, Annette, or is that, I think it's a sticker, but it is the most realistic sticker I have ever seen of a pressed pansy. I love little pansies because they look like they have little faces. But this is just absolutely adorable, and that I'm going to actually keep this on my desk as my little idea book, because so many times I get little ideas that I want to write down, and you know, at my age, you get an idea, it's here 1 minute, it's totally gone the next. But I have some good ideas, I just don't remember them. So thank you so much, Annette, and I just really appreciate this. You did not have to do this. This was in response to a little happy mail I had sent her, you didn't have to do this, but I really appreciate it. And you know, like I said, I don't know when you mailed this. I don't know how long it's been in the mail, but you know, the bonus is, look, I got this great envelope from the postal service that can go in the big girl. That can definitely be a page in the big girl. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so on to making some fairies now. So my little fairies here, all of their faces are completely different. But the way I constructed them and the way their bodies are made are all the same. So, you know, your faces are all going to be different. And honestly, I can never even do a face the same twice. You know, even if I tried to do the same eyes, the same nose, the same mouth, they all take on their own character anyway. So that, you know, and I'm sure you know that too if you've ever tried to duplicate your own drawing or something. So what I do, I just take a piece of scrap paper. Now these were actually done on white cardstock, but I found this piece of the end of a manila envelope, and I thought, well, hey, it's already kind of tan. We'll go with it. We'll use that. So just a piece of paper that doesn't have, well, cardstock. I would say cardstock that doesn't have any writing on it, okay? And whatever the background tone of your fairy that you want. Now I do need it as tall as a whole body because it's going to be cut out as one piece. So you don't want to like draw heads like really close together. You need to leave space for the whole body. So, you know, on this strip here, I could probably get two here. I'm just going to draw one right now because then I want to show you some other ways that I sourced it. So all I do is I draw a little face, and I might have to do this several times because I'm not a good face drawer. So I'm just going to draw some little eyes, and I know my hand's in the way. It doesn't matter where the camera seems to be, my hand's always in the way. So I've got some little eyes there, okay? Then I'm going to give her a little nose, and I like a little turned up nose like that. And then some little lips. And an easy way to make some lips is to make like a flat heart and then just draw a line through it, okay? So then she definitely needs some eyebrows because faces look really weird if they don't have some kind of eyebrows, right? So let's make her pupils just a little bit bigger. Okay. And I'm going to upturn her mouth a little bit to make it look like she's smiling. So now I have the face. So then we can just go ahead and kind of sketch around and draw the lines of her face. And you know, she's not going to be great, but that's okay. She's a fairy. It's okay. So then what I'm going to do is just give her some kind of hair. This is the hardest part for me. I don't do fairy hair well. I don't know what fairies' hair look like. And I've never been a good hair drawer anyway. But just for the sake of how to do this, I'm going to just give her something, right? Give her some hair here. And I'm using, this is a Uniball micro pen. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can actually sometimes get these at Dollar Tree. But it's a good fine line black. What's wrong with her eyes? She looks kind of weird. Okay. It looks, I think these are waterproof and they're very fine, so if you want the details. What is wrong with her eyes? I don't like her. Okay, scratch her. We're going to abort. We're going this way. We're going to try again. Let's see. How do I make eyes? Usually I make eyes, right? Like eyes. Okay. And, you know, this is me. I mean, this is me making fairies. I have to do this over and over. Like I said, I am not a good face drawer. I will just draw a whole bunch of faces until I come to one that I can say, okay, that one I can live with, right? See, I don't like her either. Okay. Let's try again. We'll try over here. I have to move it down a little bit. I tried my pen out there, and so I don't want that to interfere with her hair. Maybe if we draw a face shape. There's a lot of pressure drawing a fairy face when you're on the camera. Because when I'm just doodling by myself, it's okay, you know. I mean, I still do it several times because I don't like them, but I don't feel like I'm under the gun to produce something, right? So let's see here. Let's draw a little eye here and a little eye here. Give her the roundness of her eye and the little pupils, and then a tiny little button nose. I'm just going to give her a little small mouth. Oh, give her eyebrows, Helen, because they look weird without eyebrows. Okay. All right, she's not great, believe me. I don't like her, but just for the sake of showing you how to do it, and I won't use her, I'm sure, but just to show you how I do it. So after you draw the face and the head, I draw like a neck. And then I come around and draw her arms. And all I do for the arms are I just kind of make them round like this. And then I kind of make them like this. Okay, just like that. Okay, you see that? So then, that's all I'm going to do as far as drawing. Now, I can color her in. Now, remember, I told you that her face is already tan. I think I actually have some tanny stuff here on this palette that I can color her face some more. Okay, all right, this marker, here we have a dirty fairy. This marker, okay, how worse can this get? This marker is not waterproof. Do not use a Uniball. Okay, so let's see if we can't get, why is this Let me get a bit. No, that's wet. Okay. This is how not to do a fairy. This is why I'm going to show you other ways to source a fairy. Anyway, color her in, okay? Draw her, color her in, make her arms like that. So what you want to do for their body and the dress is pick a paper. Now, you can pick any scrap of paper, but or any kind of paper, but because she's so small, you want to pick one that has a small pattern. You know, if you use like giant roses or something, she's so small you wouldn't probably even be able to tell, you know, that it's a rose, right? So I just need to cut or tear this down. I like to tear it. You can cut it if you want straight lines. I'm tearing it, and I'm tearing it into kind of like a triangle shape. And I'm going to just kind of make this her dress. And see how her arms are like looking now like they're behind her, tucked behind her back. That's what I wanted. So I just kind of hold it up and see what size, you know, I want her little dress to be or whatever. So, just like that, okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. And so it doesn't matter that she doesn't have hands. It doesn't matter that her arms go nowhere, because you see when I put the dress on, it just is covering them enough to make it look like they are behind her back. Okay, like this. I'm so sorry about the terrible scribbling and the doodling. Yeah, I mean, I did make these, but it took me a while because I'm not a face drawer. It's something I probably should practice a little bit. So I'm just going to move it around till I'm pleased with it. So there we have her little dress, okay, like that. So then what I do is I draw her little feet on. So I think that little fairies wear slippers made out of leaves. So I'm going to give her feet the shape of a little leaf, because I also can't draw feet. So I'm just going to draw her little slippers, okay, like that. Now, if I was using a marker that didn't run, don't use this one, I would color her feet in. See how these ones, she's got little pink ones, she's got green ones, and she's got green ones. I colored them in, and I colored their faces in. And I like to use watercolor crayons, either my Target ones or these Neo colors. I love using watercolor crayons. They give me a little more control for small things like this than watercolor paints do, because they're so runny, and you can see I don't have a lot of control. So, yeah, so then I'm just going to go ahead and cut her out, and you can cut her out as smooth or roughly as you want. I usually go pretty close to her marks, you know, her lines, but it's up to you whether you want the lines to show or not. You know, one thing you could do, and I haven't done this, but you certainly could, is to draw the fairy parts all in pencil, and then get them to where you want to be, and then outline, you know, then go over it with marker, so you don't have to keep drawing all these faces and not liking them. You could just go ahead and see where I had torn it and it was uneven. It doesn't matter, because when I'm cutting it, you know, the way I want it. I cut it smooth on the sides, right? So I'm going to cut her little feet out, her little leafy slippers. And do that. Yeah, I like the little leafy slippers. I think they're cute. And see, like I've said before, fairies live in the woods. They can't go to Walmart's to buy a pair of slippers, right? They have to use what they have. So they would make slippers out of plants and stuff. Okay. Okay, so there she is. But now she's not really a fairy. She's just a girl, right? With wearing leaf slippers. She needs her wings. So all you have to do is, for the wings, well, there's several things you can do. If you have, sorry, not prepared, but there's what's new there. If you have die cuts, and I believe these were gifted to me I believe these came from Krista from Crafty Kitty. I think you can get these at Dollar Tree. If you had like wings like that, you could just attach them to her like that. Okay, just use a butterfly, or if you have a butterfly paper, you could cut out wings from, like, if you had butterfly scrap of paper, you could do that. Or that just gave me another idea, because I have it over here to use in the journal. Krista from Crafty Kitty also gave me this paper, this beautiful paper. I'm going to use it in my journal. She stamped butterflies on it. So if you have a butterfly stamp, you can stamp and decorate your wings as you want, cut them out, and then attach them to her. She would look lovely with these wings, right? Like that. So you could do that. Or what I did with these girls here, I literally, what did I do? Here it is. I literally just pretend that this is scrap of paper. I'm not going to use her because her face is totally ruined and I don't like her, so she's going in the trash. But for these guys, what I did, I just literally free-handed some wings like this onto some scrap paper. And, you know, you can fool around with it. If you use the back side of the scrap paper, you can do what I'm doing and just even them out like how you want. You can make them any shape you want, you know, with the ins and outs, or if you want to give them the pointy wing on the bottom, you can just draw it out onto any kind of, the back of any scrap paper, cut them out, and then, you know, attach them like that. But that's how I do it. I think the biggest takeaway from the way I make fairies is the way I make the body, by just drawing the face and the arms and then putting the triangle over the arms so it looks like they're behind their back. But then you have one piece, you know, that you can cut out so that she's pretty solid. And then, of course, the wings would be added separately. So that's how I make my fairies. If you want to make your own, and you probably should make your own if you're making a fairy journal, you should put something, you know, that's of yourself in there. But as you can see, I'm not a great fairy maker, so I don't want to like ruin the journal by putting all the, you know, my so-and-so fairies in there. So I wanted to just give you some other sources for fairy. So this is just a little, and you're not going to have this necessarily, but it came from one of these little books that has these little pieces of paper, little ephemera pieces. Some are, this one is vellum, like the backs of these little books are vellum pictures, the front are just paper pictures. But I went through here really quickly. I was actually pulling some out for something else, and I found this one, and it is a little fairy in a garden. So I put her aside. But, you know, you may not have these, but look through your paper pads for anything, any girls or, you know, anything that looks like a fairy, or anything you could turn into a fairy in your ephemera or whatever. You could do that. I have these little fairies here. These were cut from a wallpaper border that Krista sent me. And these little fairies here, aren't they sweet? And this little one here with their little flowers and everything. So I'm going to put these in my journal. They're another source of fairies that I have besides my own. And these are, like I said, these are not things I'm buying. These are things that are in my stash. But when you go, like if you're doing a fairy journal, but you're working on something else, as you go through things, remind yourself, I'm working on a fairy journal, and pick stuff out that might go for that. You can use a bin, a folder, or whatever to put that stuff in so that you have it all together. Then here, this is a little Tim Holtz, one of the Tim Holtz paper dolls. Now, I made this little tag a long time ago, and I sat her on this iris die cut. But she looks like a little fairy to me. So I'm going to use her. She doesn't have wings, but she's sitting on that little iris, and that makes me think she's a little fairy. And then this little girl here, this other tag here I found, it's just a vintage picture of a little girl. She also does not have wings, but just the way she looks with her little hat makes me think she could go in a fairy journal. So printables, any printables that you might have, or even go on Pinterest or the graphic fairy. That's where I believe I'm not sure if I got her Pinterest, but the Graphic Fairy is a great resource. If you go on the Graphic Fairy's website and put in fairy images, you would get tons that you could print out. My printer's not that great, so I don't do a whole bunch of digitals. I do a few, but not a lot. So then some other sources for fairies. This was a card that my sister had sent my mom, and my mom said, can you use that for anything? I think she would be considered a nymph. I don't think she's a fairy, but she's a garden statuary holding up this bowl, and then it's a bird bath, and see all the little birds in there? So I'm going to cut her out, and she's just from a greeting card. So I'm going to cut her out and use her. Then I have this. This is a piece of vintage wedding shower paper. And these are little brides. See her little bride? She's a bride with her dress. But you know what? She could be a fairy too. Look at these little girls. I mean, she's got a flower on her head. She obviously is wearing a veil, but I still would put her in my fairy journal because the way they are drawn and the images that they are, I think that these would make lovely fairies. So I'm going to use some vintage wrapping paper. And then I got some images out of some children's books. I went through all my children's books. If you have books vintage children's books with nursery rhymes or bedtime stories, go through theirs because you might find some fairies. This one is adorable because these actually are little fairies, and you see they're like real picture fairies. Like these are real little statues that they filmed or took pictures of. And then with this, okay, so out of that, I think the same book, but not attached to that, was this poem that said, a fairy went a-marketing. And it's a little poem about a fairy. So I found that, so I'm going to cut that out. Then here's another thing. This is from a 1920s, I believe, or earlier. And this was from an old children's book, and it's called Fairy Bread, and it's a picture with fairies on it. So that came from a book. I cut this fairy out of a book that was a bedtime story book, and she's got her wings. But also, I cut this little guy out. Now, no, he's not a fairy, but he's a frog. And, you know, when you think of fairies and you think of nature, things like frogs and whatever, mushrooms, any of that stuff, you can use that. So talking about other fodder, not fairies, but other fodder for your fairy journal, I cut this little piece from a card, a vintage greeting card. Check this out. And this is so going in my journal. Ta-da! It's a little one of these paper mushrooms. What is this called? Like a tissue paper mushroom. And then it's got these little ducklings underneath. And I thought in my journal, let me get it out here. Ugh. In my journal, come here. What I'm going to do is find, I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, but like, let's just say I was going to put it here. I'm going to glue it in the middle like this so that it closes when the book closes, and when it opens, the little tissue thing pops up. Isn't that cute? So old greeting cards, those are also, you know, a lot of older things have fairies in them. They were much more popular in the day. Doll books. So I use this book to cut out images of dolls to put in some of my journals. If you ever go to the thrift shop and you find these old doll books, yeah, there's creepy dolls in here and scary dolls in here, but there's also great dolls for you to make fairies from. So if you're challenged to draw them like I am, a book like this, like, okay, look at this little girl right here. This one. Wouldn't she make an awesome fairy if I gave her wings? So she might be cut out and put in my fairy book. But, you know, if you go through doll books, I use these in my prayer journals. I use them in all kinds of journals. But it's page after page after page of little people, you know, basically little people that you can turn into fairies. So this is a great source, these doll books. And I got this at a thrift shop, and I have another one too. I mean, because I find them all the time. So then The only other thing I wanted to say was other sources for fairy journals. I found this book at a thrift shop called Victorian Flower Gardens. And no, it doesn't have fairies in it, but look at these backgrounds for fairy journals. Just beautiful. I mean, these are one after the other. You know, now here's a lady spinning, and just kind of her style, I would probably use her. But look at this one here. She's pruning this lilac. I'm guessing that's a lilac bush. But, you know, I could easily give her a little pair of wings. She's so pretty. But really, this book is about the backgrounds and the cottages and everything that I can use in a fairy journal. So if you find books like anything with flower gardens, great source of fodder. Or, you know, of course, there's Edith Holden, her books. I have yet to cut apart my Edith Holden book that I got for 50 cents. I have not cut anything out of it. It is so hard for me to cut into that book. But I found other things. This is called Nature Sketchbook by Marjolaine Bastin. And I love the style of her. She's very watercolory. Look at these great images here for a fairy journal or for a nature journal. You may not be doing a fairy journal. Look at this owl here. And there, look, this whole little thing about this owl poking his head in and out of a hole in a tree. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. So this is definitely, and here's gardening things. This is definitely going to be a part of my fairy journal. And it actually, I've already cut, you saw at the beginning here, I've already cut out a page to use the background in my journal as a page. Even the stuff on the fly leaf here, all this stuff can be used. So anyway, I just wanted to give you some ideas on where I'm getting some other fodder besides my wonderful drawing that you can use in your journals, particularly where you might be able to source some fairies if you don't want to draw them, or you want to add some that are drawn and not drawn, or you just don't want to draw at all and you just want to use something else, you know. But anyway, so that was just a quickie on how to source some fairies. I wish I could reproduce these, and I wish I could reproduce a nice one for you. This pen is not the pen to use, so don't get this for that. It's good for other things. I use it in mixed media for like doodling over mixed media and stuff, but obviously it's smudge, and that's what happened to Dirty Fairy's face too. It wasn't that pen, it was a Micron pen that bled on me. So I might actually just start using a ballpoint pen until I can find a pen that will not bleed when I start to color. So guys, I hope that that was helpful for you and you got some inspiration to look through your stash, look through magazines, look through books, look through your papers, your scrapbook papers, look through all your ephemera, look through wrapping paper, everything, because there could be something in there that you're like, that's it, I need that for my journal. So please give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I ask that you do. And until the next video, I hope you all are truly blessed. Bye-bye.